Welcome back to the deep dive. We've got quite a collection of sources here, articles, bits of research, notes, and we're really digging in to pull out the key stuff, give you that shortcut to being in the know.
Yep.
Today we're zooming in on, well, a pretty specific astrological pairing, Libra and Capricorn compatibility.
That's right. We're looking at several different takes, really, on how a Libra and a Capricorn interact, especially in love and relationships. The sources cover their basic traits, how they might first connect, where the friction points tend to show up.
And importantly, what kind of effort it takes.
Exactly. What understanding is needed to actually build something solid between these two signs.
So our mission here is pretty clear. Unpack what all these sources are saying about the Libra-Capricorn dynamic.
Yeah.
Where's the natural click? Where are the common clashes? And what's the recipe for making it work? So you can get a really full picture of this particular relationship.
Okay, let's start with the basics then, just grounding ourselves in what these signs are fundamentally about, according to our sources. So Libra first. Air sign, ruled by Venus. The scales, the drill.
Balance, harmony.
Right. Balance, harmony, diplomacy, aesthetics are key. They're generally friendly, outgoing, really people-focused, and very invested in keeping things harmonious, keeping that balance in their relationships.
So a sign focused on connection, fairness, beauty.
Yep.
Okay. And then Capricorn.
Big contrast. Capricorn is an earth sign ruled by a Sirius Saturn, symbolized by the goat climbing the mountain, always pushing upwards. Core traits, think ambition, practicality, discipline, stability, perseverance. They're often described as hardworking, quite serious about commitments, sometimes very work-oriented, and really driven by that need for security and responsibility.
And you can immediately see the difference, can't you? Air and earth.
Yeah, the sources jump on that right away. They're not seen as a naturally easy mix. One source literally calls them natural opposites. And what's interesting is they're both cardinal signs.
Meaning they both like to initiate things, start stuff.
Exactly. But you've got cardinal air and cardinal earth. So they might try to kick off projects or tackle problems kind of at the same time, but their methods, completely different. They need different things to feel supported. So that combination, both being initiators, but with these incompatible elements, it creates this inherent friction. It's a built-in challenge right from the start.
That makes total sense. Wanting to go, but needing totally different kinds of fuel. So given these pretty distinct energies, what did the sources say actually draws them together initially? Is there a spark there despite all that?
Surprisingly, yeah. The sources suggest the initial attraction can actually be quite strong. It seems to come from the strengths each one has that the other maybe admires or even feels they lack.
Okay, like what?
Libra often finds Capricorn's positive qualities quite appealing. Things like their strong character, their ambition, that sense of reliability. Capricorn can seem like someone who brings order to chaos, which Libra might appreciate.
And what about Capricorn looking at Libra?
Well, Capricorn, often being focused on achievement and, how things look, tends to appreciate Libra's more polished qualities. The sources mention their elegance, attractiveness, good manners, that social grace.
Oh, interesting. So Libra's ease in social settings could actually be a plus for practical Capricorn.
Yeah, it seems so. Capricorn might see that social skill as a potential asset, maybe something that could even help their own career or social standing. It points towards this kind of mutual respect, initially at least.
A sense that they could complement each other, fill in the gaps.
Exactly. That seems to be part of the early draw.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. Moving beyond that first attraction into, the day-to-day reality of a relationship. And our sources seem pretty aligned here. Words like medium compatibility or not an easy ride keep popping up.
They do. It sounds like success isn't about just coasting along. It's much more about conscious effort.
Absolutely. The sources really hammer home that this pairing needs compromise, patience, a real willingness to talk things through, and crucially, respecting those fundamental differences we just talked about.
So what are the biggest hurdles? Where do those core differences tend to, really cause problems?
Well, a major one is that clash in their perspectives and maybe their core goals in life. Think about Libra, very people-oriented, sometimes indecisive because they need to weigh everything up.
Right, always seeing both sides.
Versus Capricorn, who's often laser-focused on work, on tangible achievements, on getting things done. One source actually rates their compatibility lower, specifically because Libra tends to put people and connection first before work or success.
Which is often the total opposite for Capricorn.
Exactly. It's potentially a head-on collision of priorities in a really significant life area.
What else causes trouble?
Capricorn's natural reserve. maybe even stiffness sometimes. That could be tough for Libra, who really thrives on communication, emotional sharing, closeness. Libra needs that constant connection verbally and emotionally.
And Capricorn might just not provide it in the way Libra expects or needs.
Right. One source even mentioned that this difficulty in connecting emotionally can make just getting the relationship started feel very exhausting for both of them.
That connects back to them being those cardinal signs again, doesn't it? Facing challenges together but needing completely different kinds of support. It's like built-in tension.
It really is. But okay, it's not all doom and gloom. The sources do talk about strengths, too, and potential for growth. What can they actually learn from each other?
That seems to be a really key theme, actually. Libra can definitely help Capricorn, lighten up a bit, see the beauty in life, maybe appreciate things beyond just work and duty, introduce different perspectives.
And Capricorn offers something Libra often needs, that anchor. They provide structure, help Libra commit and focus their energy. For a sign that can get lost weighing options.
That Capricorn stability can feel really grounding, like real emotional security. And Libra's skill in mediation, seeing both sides, that's genuinely useful for stopping small disagreements blowing up.
Yeah, preventing escalation. And Capricorn's diligence ensures stuff actually gets finished. So, together, the sources suggest they can forge a relationship that has both that practical stability and real intimacy.
Apparently, when both partners have a strong sense of their own direction, even if their goals are different, they can build a really reliable team. Libra involves others. Capricorn makes sure to plan time for connection.
Okay, now there's one source, Alice Sparkly Cat, who offers this really unique, almost quirky perspective on a specific dynamic they see between Libra and Capricorn. It's framed around this idea of dominance, but maybe not in the way you'd first think.
Oh, yeah, I remember this one. It's less about power struggles and more about how they interact around advice giving or fixing things, right?
Exactly. So what's Capricorn's tendency here, according to this source?
Capricorn apparently has this impulse to offer advice, to step in, try to fix things, maybe fix the person. The source uses the term dom, a space like trying to exert control through practical guidance.
And Libra's reaction to being fixed.
Libra has this devil's advocate streak, not necessarily be oppositional, but there's this urge described. They hear the advice, and then they kind of want to do the opposite, or twist it, playfully tease Capricorn with it.
So Capricorn gives sensible advice, like maybe lay off the vaping or get some fresh air. And Libra hears it, gets it, but might just not.
Might just do the opposite. Yeah, the source points out this pattern might not bother other signs much, but it really gets under Capricorn's skin because Capricorn values accountability. They gave good advice. They expect it to be taken seriously.
I love that example about the dinner plans. Capricorn, being practical, offers bland food for an upset stomach.
Right, totally sensible.
But Libra is just hinting, maybe pouting, secretly craving greasy tacos, hoping Capricorn will pick up on the unspoken desire.
And Capricorn just misses it. They're already making the broth because that's the logical fix for nausea. Meanwhile, Libra is getting queasy thinking about the tacos they actually wanted.
It shows perfectly how Capricorn's practical fixing hits Libra's playful contrarian side. But okay, maybe funny with tacos. But the source says it's problematic with bigger things.
Definitely. Libra starts to feel bullied or lectured, stop telling me what to do. And Capricorn feels taken advantage of or just unappreciated. I was just trying to help.
That specific dynamic really highlights how their core differences can play out in these little everyday moments, leading to frustration even when intentions are good.
It really does. And it just underlines why communication is so vital for them, which, the sources consistently flag as potentially one of the biggest hurdles for Libra and Capricorn.
Right. How do their communication styles differ then, based on what we've read?
For Capricorn women, the sources say they operate best with logistics, rationality, facts over feelings generally. They prefer directness, not long, drawn-out, emotional hashing-out sessions. But interestingly, despite that reserve, honesty, hearing I love you, getting compliments, those are actually really important.
And Capricorn men also need directness.
Very much so. Subtlety, passive aggression, it'll probably just fly right over their heads. They're focused on fixing things, looking ahead. Apparently, they really dislike dragging up old arguments. Working on a project together, though, that can be a major form of connection for them.
Okay, and Libra women.
Need space and time to figure things out. The sources warn against pressuring them. When a Libra woman says, I don't know, She likely genuinely doesn't know yet because she's still weighing all those different perspectives. Forcing a decision or putting words in her mouth is a definite no-no.
And Libra men, that natural flirtatiousness comes up.
It does, but the sources stress it doesn't automatically mean infidelity. Becoming suspicious can actually backfire, make them hide things. The key. Be direct, listen actively, ask open-ended questions. And this is crucial, acknowledge the validity of their point, even if you disagree with it. Again, don't put words in his mouth either.
So across the board, it's about clarity, being open, and really respecting that you're talking to someone with a completely different communication OS, basically.
Exactly. You have to adjust your settings.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. Dating, intimacy. How do these two approach romance and physical connection? The sources give some really interesting specifics here.
Capricorn's view of romance is pretty realistic. They expect bumps in the road, they're generally playing for keeps. They actually love being wined and dined, appreciate a bit of formality, especially early on.
Traditional leaning, maybe?
Somewhat, yeah, though they're open to considering other ways. Routine is big, like a regular date night is golden. And they genuinely love just staying home together, too.
Seems like when they commit, they're pretty serious. One source even said it's not unheard of for a Capricorn to marry quickly if it feels right.
They value that stability. And physically, very important. Regular sex is often seen as key to maintaining the connection. It's described as a slow burn, needing emotional connection and compliments to really ignite.
But they're generous lovers.
Yeah, generous, but maybe not super experimental. They tend to stick with what works, though they might try new things for their partner. And humor. They appreciate silliness, giggling. Sex is also a way to let off steam for them.
Libra's approach sounds different, more flair.
Definitely. Loves flirting, loves the drama and pageantry of it all, enjoys first dates.
Yeah.
But there's a caution, too. They can get lost in relationships, hold back a bit, needing space to figure out the partnership on their own terms.
But still pragmatic underneath the romance.
Surprisingly, yes. They weigh pros and cons, think ahead even about practical stuff like schools for hypothetical kids. They really want to please their partner, hate conflict, so they're sensitive to criticism, especially about things like date choices.
And what turns them on?
Needs that mental spark along with the physical. Slow burn texting, fantasy, role play, dirty talk, even BDSM comes up as things that can keep Libra engaged.
In dates, they like going out.
Oh yeah, exclusive restaurants, cool bars, being in the know. But they also love cuddling at home, and PDA is usually a big yes. They like showing off their partner.
The sources even gave seduction tips. How to win over each sign. What works for Capricorn.
Steadiness. Reliability. Being there when you say you will, that signals loyalty. Appreciating craftsmanship or DIY skills helps. Wine knowledge is a plus. And being successful in your own right, that's impressive to them. Basically, build your life, be accomplished, and don't rush them.
And for Libra.
Notice them. Lavish praise, make them feel important, attractive. Surprisingly, being a bit independent, subtly seeking your own spotlight, playing a little hard to get can work. Humor is key, especially self-deprecating, and kind of counterintuitively, gently forcing them to make a decision sometimes and then praising their choice that can really win them over. It paints such a vivid picture, doesn't it? How differently they operate in those early stages and in intimacy. You can really see the effort needed to connect across those styles.
Totally. So, okay, let's say things are progressing. How do you know if a Capricorn or a Libra is actually serious, like playing for keeps? What are the milestones?
For Capricorn, it's often about the small, practical integrations. They stop meticulously paying you back for little things. They start seeing you as a financial unit. A huge sign is if they skip a really ingrained routine for you, like a weekly class they never miss, and literally making space, clearing a drawer, suggesting you leave a toothbrush, letting your stuff influence their decor.
Practical integration.
Yeah.
Okay. And Libra?
It's more about letting you into their inner world. Inviting you to their home alone is big. Their home is their sanctuary, so that's real trust. Another huge one, telling you something they genuinely don't like. They hate conflict, so honesty about something negative means they trust you can handle it without drama. Or inviting you into their quiet routine yoga class, a simple weeknight dinner. It means they want you in their real life, not just the showy parts. It's a fascinating contrast. Capricorn brings you into their structure and resources. Libra opens up their private space and vulnerability.
Let's look at the flip side then. What are the warning signs, the red flags that things might be going south in this particular pairing?
For Capricorn, a major one is when they stop raising problems. Their default is usually to try and fix things practically. If they go quiet, especially after being vocal about issues, they might already be mentally checking out, planning their exit strategy.
It's not usually impulsive with them.
No, the source suggests they prepare. Other signs: being cagey about their schedule, suddenly having lots of weekend excuses, and that constant nitpicky criticism about your appearance, your habits, your tastes.
Okay. And for Libra, how do they signal trouble?
A big flag is when their friends hear about the problems before you do. Libras often process relationship issues by talking them through with their circle first. Also, becoming evasive about including you with their friends can signal doubts, and watch for passive aggression saying everything's fine when it clearly isn't, or poking at sensitive subjects just to get a reaction.
You see the pattern again, don't you? Capricorn withdraws and critiques directly, Libra processes externally, and might use indirect confrontation.
Exactly. Different ways of disengaging.
So how do they handle heartbreak then? If things do end, this seems like where those core differences would really show.
Oh, definitely. According to the sources, Capricorn looks stoic, but they feel it deeply. They just hide it well. Their way of dealing is through action, staying busy.
Like work more.
Work more, train for a marathon, take a demanding class, anything to channel that energy and avoid just sitting with the emotion. They might even shed old parts of their life, friends, habits, seeing the breakup as a chance for self-reinvention.
Hey, Libra.
Libra wants the pain to stop fast. They might do this by justifying the breakup, maybe focusing on the ex's flaws, even bad-mouthing them a bit to feel better. They also tend to become relationship detectives, going back through texts, emails, trying to figure out exactly what went wrong.
They need external processing.
Very much so. Time, attention, comfort food, and lots of social support drinks with friends, dinners out, parties. They need to talk it out and be distracted.
Wow. Stark contrast. Capricorn's internal action-based transformation versus Libra's external social processing and justification.
Completely different coping mechanisms.
All right, let's bring it home. The big commitment, marriage. What do the sources ultimately say about Libra and Capricorn tying the knot?
Well, even though that overall compatibility is often rated medium, the sources generally see marriage between them as complex, definitely, but potentially really promising. Those different priorities, they absolutely need constant navigation.
But there's upside, too.
Big time. Libra's charm can really help Capricorn open up emotionally, and Capricorn provides that essential anchor Libra needs, helping them focus. When it comes to making big decisions, their combined approach can be powerful. Capricorn's practicality meets Libra's creative solutions.
So what's the key to making it work long-term, like in a marriage?
It really boils down to mutual support, genuine understanding, truly honoring those different strengths, and consciously working to align their priorities if they commit to doing that work.
Then the friction isn't necessarily bad.
Exactly. It can be transformed into a really solid, resilient foundation. The sources suggest it can flourish into a deeply enriching journey together, built on respect, support, laughter, and a shared sense of meaning in their lives.
Wow. So this Libra-Capricorn thing, it's not painted as easy or automatic at all. It's more like a relationship that has to be built quite deliberately, brick by brick, because these elements and approaches are just so different.
That's the core message, yeah. It takes real conscious effort, constant open communication, and that genuine willingness to compromise and truly learn from what the other person brings to the table.
But the potential is there.
Absolutely. If they navigate those differences thoughtfully, the potential for a stable, respectful, and deeply connected partnership is definitely there. It just requires that ongoing commitment from both sides.
Okay, so here's a final thought to leave folks with. Given those incredibly different ways they handle conflict and heartbreak, Capricorn taking action, going internal, Libra needing to talk it out externally, maybe justify things. How might those specific coping styles create unique challenges? Or maybe even, I don't know, unexpected ways to heal if a Libra-Capricorn relationship doesn't work out? What can we maybe learn about dealing with loss ourselves just by looking at these two very different responses to difficulty?